Welcome back to The Girl Who Speaks Bear, written by Sophie Anderson, illustrated by Katrin Hennester, and read with permission from Usborne Publishers. I think that's the first time I said that without having to look at it. I'm starting to remember it. Let's get into chapter 14. Chapter 14. Elena. The Yaga disappear indoors and I push myself up to sitting, but a hot, sickening darkness rushes around me and I collapse back down. My face burns with frustration at not being strong enough to stand. Come on, human girl, get up. Mousetrap pushes the back of my neck like he could lift me himself. I manage to sit up again, but my legs won't work. It's all right. Mousetrap stands on my shoulder. His teeth and claws pause for attack. If you can't run away yet, I'll protect you until you can. I remember how Mousetrap took on the wolf pack, and I can't help but smile. I exhale slowly and focus on trying to move my feet. A sharp cramp seizes one of them, and I stifle a cry of pain. The porch balustrades curl around my back, helping to support me. One of the wooden spindles snaps free and reaches towards my hand, before erupting with bright white blossoms. I blink at them in confusion. Ah, the house likes you. Elena suits back through the doorway with a beaming smile, a bowl balanced on her head, blankets under her arms, and a steaming tray in her hands. She unloads everything onto the porch and tucks fire-warmed blankets around my chest and legs. The cramp in my foot subsides and my body tingles back to life. I stare at Elena, unsure whether to be scared or grateful. She finishes fussing with the blankets, pours tea into a mug and passes it to me. I shake my head. The tea could be poisoned, her friendly smile some kind of trap. What happened to your elk? Elena asks, picking up the bowl and a small basket of mushrooms. She edges closer to Yuri, strokes his neck and places the basket under his nose. He munches the mushrooms before I can tell him not to. Was it wolves? Says Elena, as she takes a cloth from the bowl and washes Yuri's wounds. He stops whining and becomes so calm. I wonder if Elena is using witchcraft on him. She doesn't seem dangerous, Mousetrap whispers into my ear. Maybe I was right to bring us here after all. The roof nods in agreement. Your house, I say, without thinking, then press my lips tight shut. I'm still not sure I should be talking to a Yaga. Our house is special, Elena smiles. I'm sorry if it scared you. It's young, and it's still learning how to behave. She moved away from Yuri and sits on the porch steps closer to me. It annoys my mother because we're supposed to remain hidden in the forest, but the house is terrible at it. It's far too friendly and curious. Are you witches? The question falls from my mouth before I can stop it. No, says Elena. Not the sort you think we are anyway. We won't eat you, she winks. Promise. I glance towards the bone fence. Oh, those bones are so old, Elena laughs. They're just decorations that have been passed down for generations. They beacon the dead. Beacon the dead? A chill runs through me and I wish I had accepted the mug of tea. If only to have something warm to hold. Elena glances at the door and then leans closer to me. We guide the dead to the stars, she whispers. But it's meant to be a secret, so don't tell my mother I told you. I nod slowly. I'm not sure what guiding the dead is exactly, but Elena has such an easy smile. I can't imagine it's anything bad. Music swells inside the house. The excited strumming of domras accompanies the rhythmic thumping of dancing feet. The bone fence rattles and the flaming skulls sway as the whole house heaves and bobs in time to the beat. A window slides open and I smell rich, creamy food that makes my stomach rumble. You hungry? Elena asks. I follow her gaze to the tray. As well as tea, there's a bowl of mushroom stroganoff, a couple of fish rolls, and a thick slice of rye bread. I'll sample the foods. Mousetrap leaps off my shoulder and rushes to the edge of the tray. Oh, a weasel? Is he your pet? Elena breaks off a small piece of bread and places it in front of him. I'm nobody's pet, Mousetrap scowls. He's so cute, Elena exclaims. clearly not understanding Mousetrap's squeaks and squeals. Her finger hovers over his back like she wants to stroke him, but Mousetrap flashes his canines, steps over the bread, and pulls a fish roll from the plate. Food is good, he mumbles, usually. But I hesitate, still unsure whether we're safe. Then a dog bounds out of the front door and skids to Elena's feet. Wolf! Yuri screams. It's not a wolf, it's a dog. My jaw drops open. That's one of Anatoly's guards, Nessa. Instantly, I'm on guard. The Yaga must have eaten Anatoly, because he never leaves his dogs. What have you done with Anatoly? I demand. She hasn't done anything with Anatoly. Nessa rolls her eyes and rests her head in Elena's lap. Elena and her mother are Anatoly's friends. Do you know Anatoly? Elena asks, ruffling Nessa's ears and leaning down to kiss her snout. Yeah, he's my... I search for the right word, but can't find one. How do you know? I turn the question around, still suspicious. Anatoly never told me he has friends in the forest. Anatoly and my mother have been friends for as long as I can remember. He often leaves his dogs with us when he goes exploring. He likes collecting stories for his bear child. Elena's eyes widen. That's you, isn't it? She looks down at my feet and blushes. I should have guessed. I was distracted by you falling and then the house moving, then your elk. You're Yanka, she beams. I've always wanted to meet you. I've heard so much about you from Anatoly. You almost feel like family. I frown with annoyance. You never told me about you. Oh, he's not allowed to. My mother made him promise. Yaga, people who live in houses like ours, are very secretive. Because of the whole guiding the dead thing. Elena's eyes sparkle. I bet he's told you a few tales, though. I nod, thinking of all the stories Anatoly told that mentioned a house with chicken legs. He said there was truth in them. I'd love to hear one. Elena pours a fresh mug of tea and offers it to me. I could tell you which bits are true. This time I accept the tea, take a sip and sigh as heat trickles into my body. There's the story of the bear Tsar and the Yaga. I glance up, worrying if Elena knows anything about humans turning into bears. Haven't heard that one. Elena smiles and leans back against the porch balustrades. Mousetrap finishes the fish roll he's been eating, wipes his whiskers and burps loudly. Nessa, Yuri and the house's front windows all turn to me expectantly. And so I begin the story, as Anatoly would, with Once Upon a Time. The bear Sara and the Yaga. Once upon a time, the bear Tsar, the king of the forest, found a crumbling castle hidden behind towering pines. Golden paint peeled from its onion-domed roof and brambles crowned its great halls. The bear Tsar's fat, furry brow crumpled. The castle felt familiar, but he didn't understand why. He was old, and his memories had faded, so he lay down, rested his chin upon his paws, and tried to remember. Images shimmered at the edges of his mind. Dancing with a lady, telling stories to a child. The bear Tsar felt that he had lived here once, with a wife and child, but he couldn't remember when, or where his family were now. The bear Tsar longed to know the truth, so he rose onto his huge paws and set off to ask the help of the Yaga, who lived deep in the darkest part of the forest. A witch and a sage, the Yaga was said to hold all the wisdom of the souls departed. "Don't go!" cried the birds. "Baba Yaga has iron teeth and will crunch you up." "My hide is tougher than iron," laughed the bear Tsar. "She'll not crunch me up." "Don't go!" wailed the tree spirits. "Baba Yaga's cooking pot can boil 10 bears." "I'm the bear Tsar, stronger than 20 bears. She'll not get me into her cooking pot." "Don't go!" howled the wolves. "Baba Yaga will steal your soul and send it to the other world." "I'm old," the bear Tsar sighed. "My soul is leaving this world soon anyway. I want to remember my life before I go." And he stopped before a fence of skulls and bones. Behind the fence, a wooden house rose up on chicken legs and turned to face the bear Tsar. Its windows blinked like eyes, and its doors opened like a mouth yawning. Out stepped a Yaga with bony legs and crooked teeth. "What do you want?" she snapped. "I have no time for bears." "Please, dear Yaga, help me remember my life. I believe I had a wife and a child once, and I want to know what happened to them." The Yaga's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "If your soul is more than a bear, I can help you remember." A gate in the fence creaked open, but the Yaga held up her hand. "My price is high. I deal in death and souls. If you enter this house, you won't come out." The bear Tsar looked into the forest. He loved the whispering trees and the chattering animals, but he knew it was time to move on. He turned to the Yaga and nodded his great head. "I'm ready. All I want is to remember before I go." The porch floorboards creaked beneath the bear Tsar's weight, and the door widened to let him through. Inside, the house was warm. A cooking pot, large enough to boil 10 bears, bubbled over the fire. "Sit!" The Yaga pointed to a chair growing from the floor. It grew and grew until it was big enough to hold the bear Tsar, and he sat and rested his old bones. The Yaga brought him a bowl of kvass and a basket of berries, and he ate and drank until his belly was full. Then the Yaga played music on a 5-string gulsi that sounded like rain chiming on a pedal-filled brook. Memories flooded the bear Tsar's mind, clear as the water of the silver stream in summer. He saw a cabin near the forest, smelled the sap of freshly chopped trees, and remembered he had been a woodsman. He heard his wife singing and felt his child's soft cheek against his own, and remembered he'd been a father full of warmth and joy. But then he saw the lime tree at the soul of the forest, and remembered asking it for more and more. His heart twisted with remorse for his greed, and he felt burning anger at being cursed to live as a bear. Tears filled his eyes as he watched his child fight the curse and leave to join the human world. He watched helpless as his wife's heart broke, and she wandered to a high cave alone. The Yaga stopped playing and held the bear Tsar's paw. "I remember," the bear Tsar whispered. "I remember it all." His great body trembled with memories, bitter with loss and regret, but sweet with generosity and love. "Then, it's time to go." The Yaga lifted the bear Tsar up, and he felt light as a spring breeze. He turned and saw his great bare body lying still in the chair, and he looked down to see his calloused woodsman's hands. His wedding band shone on his finger, and a bark bracelet woven by his child caressed his wrist. "What do you take with you to the stars?" asked the Yaga as she led him across the room, to the large black gateway at the other world. "Memories of my wife and child," the bear Tsar smiled, stepping through the gate, and disappeared forever into the twinkling darkness.